Hey guys, so today we are working one of my very favorite, the straddle press and handstand. So all you're going to need, if you're a very beginner at this, is 2 yoga blocks. I really like using cork, as cork doesn't tend to roll away as easily as like the foam blocks do. So if you have a yoga mat, you'll want to start with your cork mat or your cork blocks down on the sides of your mat. So I like to bring them right to the edges of the mat, getting them in a nice parallel line because your legs should also be in a parallel line. And bring your hands down just like you would for any other handstand, anchoring down at the heel of the hand, the base of the thumb, as we always say. And then step up onto your block. And for now, I want you to just get used to really bringing that weight into the shoulders. So start to shift forward on your feet so that you come into the balls of the toes, maybe even the tippy toes. Push, push, push. Reach the hips high, hold. And lower back down. Let's do that a few times. So really shift forward, let the shoulders come past the wrist slightly, maybe gripping with the fingers onto the toenails, tippy toes, hold, pull the belly in, and lower down. Shaking out the wrist if you need to, if you get any tension there. And one more time, let's bring those hips really, really high. And as you bring the hips high, really hollow out that low belly. Get the hips up as high as you can so that they stack over the shoulders and pull all the muscles all throughout the legs. Pull them towards the bones. Draw those femur bones up and into their hip sockets and hold on those tippy toes. Here we go. Shift forward. Get that push. Push, push, push. On those toes. Hips are high. Low belly is in. Hold it for another breath. And lower back down. Very nice. I'm going to come into a little yogi squat. That way I can kind of open up the hips while softening the shoulders. A nice place to kind of rest in between those little compression pushes. Everything softens. Stretch out the backs of the wrists. Make sure before you go into any of this kind of stuff that you've done your wrist care exercises, you've done your core work, you've worked out any tension through the backs of the legs, because it's super important that you have the hamstrings very, very open in order to stack the hips over the shoulders. All right, let's come back onto our blocks once again. All right, so hands down. And as we shift forward this time, I want you to think about just letting one leg come up. So since most of us are right-handed, we're probably also right leg dominant. So let's keep that right leg down and see how it feels to just lift that left leg. Pointing the toes, but also pulling the femur bone deeply into the hip socket. So we're gonna really shift forward, press, press, press. Maybe the left leg reaches, and then the right, come back down. Let's try that again. Shift forward, low belly sucks in, lift those left toes, maybe a little hop off the right, and come back down. Very good. Let's see how that feels on the second side. So this time we're gonna reach that right leg up first. Maybe a little tiny hop off of those left toes, just to begin to feel how it gets to have all the weight into the hands and the hips all the way up over the shoulders. So here we go. Get that shift. Maybe lift the right and then the left coming back down. Let's do that again. Shift forward, push and compress. Right leg reaches and the left. Always coming back down, working that negative, working that reversal as slowly as you can. Because as you work that reversal, you are really teaching your body how to engage those muscles. And they're the same muscles that you're going to need in order to lift back up. So this may seem like, Kelsey, this is frustrating. I'm not actually straddle pressing, but this is the beginning of that. So as you get just these tiny little floats, these tiny little lifts, your body is starting to gain that muscle memory, that strength that it's going to need to get that full press and that full lift up. All right, so let's do this again on the blocks. And let's see how it feels if we can get both of the toes up off of the blocks, even if we have to hop just for a tiny, tiny bit. Now, if you have to hop, remember, you're not jumping with the full foot. Maybe just the balls of the toes, a tiny, tiny little hop to find that air. And if you do, don't stop pushing out of the shoulders. Don't stop sucking that low belly in. Here you go. Press, shift, maybe a little hop. Let's try again. The more that you find that hop, the more that you have to push out of the hands. As I hop off the toes, I start to spread the legs and open them up, seeing if maybe I can get a little bit more height. So push, hop, and float. Push, shift, little hop and float. Sometimes that little opening up of the legs helps the legs to lift up a little higher. That's why straddle presses are a little bit easier than pike presses. As we open up, sometimes the hips can naturally start to lift up higher. So don't feel like maybe that you're cheating or that it's, you know, an easier way to get that little jump in the beginning. That's something that we have to do in order to begin to learn the strength and the coordination of the press. As you do that more and more, you won't have to as much. Once you've gotten past this and you can find a little bit more air, then we're going to start taking that jump out. And you're going to work just on using the strength of that low belly to find the strength to lift the hips up over the shoulders. You can't do that though without the shift forward. As you shift forward, begin to grip the mat with your fingers, that way you don't fall over. So pushing out of the shoulders, let that shift happen, all the way up on the tiptoes, legs start to slowly open, maybe you hold. Always work the reversal. Very nice. And then work there. Doing that again and again. Don't worry about going all the way up to that straight leg. Maybe just work on holding that straddle shape so you feel super strong and super balanced and you're able to go very, very slow back in your reversal. Once you have that pretty good and you're feeling very stable there, then maybe we can start taking away the blocks. So you can shift. The hips come up, and you float and hold. You've got that. All right, let's get rid of the blocks. Now don't feel bad if you and the blocks are friends for maybe a year. That is not uncommon. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of practice to be able to press. So get friends with your blocks, but get rid of them once you're able to, because nobody wants to use them long term. And don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about using them. That's part of the process. When you're ready to go, no blocks, it's the same thing, but now you really have to stretch out those hamstrings because the hips have to come up so high in order to be able to fully float. All right, so in the beginning, when I got rid of my blocks, I had that big shift. What's important is we get those hips high and we come all the way up onto the tippy toes to give ourselves the utmost height that we can. Keep pushing, open the legs, let them float. Really reach through the toes, get long. Once you've found that place where you're like, okay, I got this, I'm done, then slow on the way back down. Resist gravity. Rest for a moment. It's hard work and it takes a lot of consistency of practice, showing up again and again and again. And in the beginning, it feels like I'm not getting it, it's not happening, what's going on? But I promise you, if you keep showing up, you keep pushing out of those shoulders, you keep aiming for lifting those hips, one day, they just float up. So again, just like we did with the blocks, see how it feels to kind of lift one leg and then the other. Sometimes just the strength of getting that first leg up, it will naturally want to level the hips out and lift the other hip. All right, so hands down. I'm going to lift up just one leg in the beginning. All the way up on my tiptoes, compression, maybe left leg up, and then the right just floats with it naturally. As you get stronger and stronger, then both feet will float at the same time. Remember, pull the femur bones deeply in as you point the toes. As soon as you find that lift, reach through the toes, spread the legs, find that straddle shape. Hands down. Compression already happening. Shoulders come forward. Always going as slow as you're able to find that strength and that control. Shoulders have to come forward a little bit again as the legs come back down. And there you go, guys. I hope that helped you a little bit to find one tip or one trick that helps you obtain your straddle press. It's a tough posture, so don't think that it's going to happen just in a day or a week or maybe even a month. It takes that consistency of practice, show up again and again and again, and one day before you know it, your legs will just float up and you'll have your press. So hang in there, guys. Work hard. My name is Kelsey. I'm on YouTube and on Instagram as Kelsey Yogi. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video. Make sure you give it a like so you can find it again and again. Work hard, guys. That's the key. Namaste.